Welcome to the EXCELcast. My name is Mark Clague. I'm the director of the EXCEL program here at the School of Music, Theater and Dance. And I'm here with Andreas Knapp from hangarmusik, Berlin. And this is an amazing project, really, where we're bringing sort of the ideas of Venezuela, of the Sistema program, to a new venue and sort of to address a new social problem. Can you tell us a little bit about the project you've helped create in Berlin?
Yes, we had, since last year, we have a little situation in Germany with refugees, where a lot of people came to Germany.
So these are the Syrian refugees that are really the crisis,
they're coming
or is
from
it
about
everywhere?
10 different countries, and among this 1 million people, there are almost 300,000 children. And
300,000 children?
Yes.
Wow.
So this is a big city only of children all over Germany. But we based in Berlin as an emergency refugee camp. I'm sorry, I have to add this. Emergency refugee camp. They brought in 3,500 people in the hangars of the former airport in Tempelhof.
So this was the location where the Berlin airlift during World War II, sort of the relief into the former, or what became East Berlin, right? Is sort of dealing with this crisis and bringing in supplies to Berlin. So you're using that exact hangar where the American airplanes were maintained and stored and sort of refueled and to come back, right? So you're using that, and that's been repurposed as a refugee camp, and you're now teaching music lessons in this space.
Yeah, exactly, and that's very emotional because it was to save Berlin, and now it's to save lives.
That's fantastic. And so how is music saving lives?
Music saves life in that matter that think about 1,000 children. Among these 3.5 people, there are 1,000 children, 3,500 people, who at the first place last December 2015. So they had no schooling, they had nothing to do, and they live in open spaces. They have boxes, 25 square meters for 12 people.
12 people and 25 square meters.
Yeah, no ceiling, open air. Well, not open air in shelter, but it's not closed. So you don't have doors, you only have curtains. And so we just went and looked what can they do. And as we know from Venezuela, children are able to learn in a group very fast. So we said, okay, we introduced to them string instruments and asked them if they are up to learn a violin or a cello or whatever. And so the result was wonderful. We had about 50 to 80 kids who participated very fast. And so we worked twice a week there with them. And
so you bring in teachers and teach group lessons.
Yes.
And then the students themselves, like in Venezuela, end up teaching each other.
Yes. And we have different conditions than in Venezuela because we have a group of, we have 12 different nationalities, so they may not speak to each other or they may not be able to speak to each other because of language situations.
So are they speaking Farsi or Arabic, or what language are you using for instruction?
For instruction, we use German.
German. So they
from the very
they're
day
becoming
one.
German by being part of these classes.
Yes.
So they're no longer refugees. They're members of the community.
Yes. The moment they are in Berlin, they are Berlin kids. For us, they're just normal Berlin kids, and they're real kids. They didn't grow up with kind of smartphones. They're really curious. They're fast. They need to be demanded, because if they're not demanded, they run away. If they get bored, they do something else. So, and they want to learn. They're really desperate to learn. And so we teach them in German, and among themselves they also then start teaching each other in German, because that's the language where they know how it works with the violin.
Right.
And they can only at this point have the instruments when we work with them, because in the hangar conditions you can't have kind of private values. So for that, it's an amazing result how fast they are in picking up. We start, for example, with a little tune of Beethoven, which we have under World Heritage in Germany. on the list of
So this
immaterial.
is the famous melody from Beethoven
Yeah.
in the final movement, right? Da,
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 dee,
da,
da.
da, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
So of course we don't tell them it's from Beethoven. It wouldn't matter for them. But the wonderful thing is, you teach them this song, or you teach them Frère Jacques and introduce to them the minor version, and then you're in a Mahler symphony. And suddenly, when they later meet for the first time ever in their life an orchestra, which they call the big violin, because they don't know what an orchestra is, they hear the song they know played by a lot of colleagues. So they also, when we brought them to a rehearsal the first time, they took their violins, because we said, oh, we go to an orchestra, and so they thought they could play with the orchestra. And so we could convince them just to listen first, and then they were curious, because they realized, oh, one can play much better on an instrument like this. So they asked us to work more often with them.
Ah, wow. So that the sound of the orchestra ended up inspiring their own studies.
Absolutely. And
Now you're a jazz drummer as part of it, but you're also a photographer.
Yeah.
So you've brought some photographs of some of these this program in action. Would you mind
Yeah.
sharing some of those?
yeah, well, maybe we start with the situation what we had last year. We had children living on the streets, on the roads, from Syria, Turkey, Greek to Germany. And this is a picture from a bridge between Germany and Austria.
They look cold.
It was October, it was 0 degree, and they had to sleep overnight. And you see, for example, here you see a little boy, and here you see, of course, a child. So it was adults, but it was a lot of families. And during the day, the situation was like this sometimes. This is Salzburg, the city Mozart was born. We know it from The Sound of Music, and we know a lot of wonderful landscape pictures and stories from the Salzburg Festival, but we normally don't have these images. So this is the basic situation we had in Europe last year. And we know from a few kids, 3 days after they arrived, we just introduced them to instruments. And this is after 3 months, where we had a joint situation. We brought in children from Berlin, and also some elder teenagers who heard about it and wanted to participate. And we put them together with the children we were working with, and they played together the Beethoven tune, for example, the Ode an die Freude. And afterwards we had some food sharing together and had a little chat. And it was a big inspiration, but not only for the children of the refugee children, or former refugee children, but also for the Berlin kids who are normally not used to play in a group.
Right.
Because we have this attitude, I think you have the same.
Studying privately.
Studying privately, one-to-one, and when you are on a certain level, you may be allowed to play with others, and that's not what we do. We just look what they did in Venezuela 45 years ago. It started, I think, about to learn every day together and to grow together. And as a result, you can't help it. It comes out that someone like Gustavo Dudamel turns out, or Edison Ruiz, who is a double bass player. And this is maybe leads to the next picture. Here you have two pictures. Maybe I put it like this. And in the first moment you may not realize who is who. So, because we have this, we know a lot of these refugees come from Arab countries. So, but on both pictures there are kids who are not refugees. And
born in Berlin and raised
for
there.
example, here, this picture is, I think, about 8 years old. And the guy with the double bass, he is the foreigner.
Right. So
This is Edison Ruiz from Venezuela teaching Berlin kids to make music. So we're looking in the past, because these kids today, they have school, they have a profession, they run a shop. We know from one kid who participated on a program like this, who is now a rocket scientist.
Wow.
And so they make a career. And here, these are our kids. It looks almost the same.
Mm-hmm.
And so and still here as a kid, which is no refugee kid, but you can't identify it first place. Mm-hmm. What I want to tell with these pictures is that they are children. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't matter where they come from, they can make music together and they can grow as a society. And that's what we want to do. We want to introduce this idea Abreu made very successfully in Venezuela to any kind of community. Even now in America, every community should have a permanent children orchestra. Mm-hmm. Because it's a wonderful tool to interconnect ethnic groups. Also social diversity is not a matter. Every child can learn an instrument with others and they can teach each other. And I think it's a wonderful tool to use what we inherit as an important culture, mm-hmm. to bring it really to everybody. And it deserves to be for everybody and not an elite thing.
Just like in Venezuela, I mean, we have these famous musicians like Ruiz and Gustavo Dudamel.
Yeah.
So there are these amazing musicians, but it's really not a music training program per se. It's really it's solving a social problem,
yeah.
bringing self-esteem, bringing purpose, bringing goals, bringing community together. Mm-hmm. And music is the vehicle, is the process.
Absolutely.
But teaching music is the means to an end as much as it is a means to itself. Would you say that's true in your program?
Yes, absolutely.
And then I think the other thing that's amazing is are the students who have come from other countries, are they sharing their music as well? I mean, because when we're refugees, when we're traveling, just like I guess the United States, we came from Europe to America, we leave our homes, we leave our belongings behind, but we bring our identities, we bring our language, we bring our literature, we bring our poetry, we bring our religions, and all those things come together. So culture becomes this very powerful tool for affirming and coming to understand yourself in a new place.
Not only yourself, also, for example, we include also German classes in refugee camps. Mm-hmm. And when we teach it, we start singing with them birthday carols. Mm-hmm. Because in German you sing the German version of Happy Birthday, because the word happy and birthday you can use anywhere, mm-hmm. often. And when you start teaching them the German version, then you can go back and ask them to sing their happy birthday song from their culture, which ends up that someone from Somalia listens for the first time to a birthday song from someone from Afghanistan. And there's like a competition, of course, between refugees, because it's a very hard situation they are in. But the moment they realize, okay, everybody has a song, it changed the atmosphere also in between the refugee groups. And then you can create a little new society, because there is a kind of respect and understanding that, okay, we share a culture and it's about sharing.
Have you had moments where ethnic groups that may be enemies in their home country have come, and of course now they're put into a new situation? Have they been able, has the ensemble, the music making, brought them together in new ways?
Yes, we had this situation that some of our kids refused to make music together with kids from other ethnic groups, and we explained to them that this is not what we do, that music is for everybody, and that they should consider, if they want to continue, we have to do it together, but there is no option. We were kind of... And then they came back and said, okay, we thought about it. If it's like this, then we want to teach them.
Wow.
So they took up responsibility, and we had last Monday, we had this wonderful experience. The boy who joined our group only 4 times before started teaching a new child. Just this little thing he knows. He wasn't told to do that. He was only told to hand him over a violin, but he immediately sat down with him and showed him how to handle it and what he does. This is this instinct thing, that you have to enable them to do it. Right. And what we do is, it's not about teaching, it's about enabling. We don't ask them to do something right. We introduce things to them, and then they do something, and then we see how it's flourished. This is a problem with teachers. When you're a teacher, it's not meant that you are able to do a program like this. So we have to also have special training.
To train the teachers,
yes.
To be in this new way. So, but a lot of musicians, this sounds to me like something that would be hugely rewarding on a sort of personal level. I mean, we get into music because we love it. We hopefully, play in an orchestra and get to make beautiful music for a professional audience, or for a paying audience. But that personal fulfillment that I think so many of us in music were touched by the art in ways that transformed us as human beings. So in order to give that gift back to the community, back to others, must be hugely satisfying for you and for the others involved in the program.
What is so wonderful is that they teach you a lot of things you would have never expected. So I know when we had the first time someone gave, it's all on crowdfunding what we do.
I see. So it's no state funding?
It's no state funding. We just said, okay, we just started. And we asked our best 500 friends to give us 100 euros. I said, okay, just give us the money and we start doing it. And then someone gave us some instruments, and we had some violins, and then finally we got a cello. And when we wanted to bring the cello in the group, one of the teachers said, yeah, but no, we can't do this. We don't have a cello teacher. And we said, well, we don't need one. We just have a look. And of course, it works.
Yeah, I figured it out. So where would you like to see this go? I mean, this sounds like something that every professional orchestra around the globe should have. Its children's orchestra should be giving to its community, both for its own mission, but also just the human possibilities that it offers. I mean, where would you like to see the things in 2 or 3 years?
I'm not even sure if professional orchestras are the right address. You're absolutely right. Every professional orchestra should run a children and youth orchestra on permanent base, not as a project thing once a year. Like every soccer team, professional soccer team runs a youth section and a child section. It's what you do. But in our business, it's not like this, because the musicians are also not trained to do this. So you can't ask them to do it kind of as an order. It must come from the heart. But what we have is, we know from Venezuela, where they do it since now over 40 years, that a community should have it. Because it's a community project, it's not about music, it's a social tool, and it's about community building, and orchestras should join it, of course. But it's not a must. It's something every community should have as a possibility to have a foundation to bring people together on a base where we can share what we are, human beings, and music is part of what we are. Music is the higher language, the only common language we have. Because you can bring people together immediately to make music together. They don't have to speak a word.
Or the rhythm and the harmony.
Yes, it works. Speaks. We know that. And we have enough evidence. We only need, seems that we need the courage to come back to what we are, human beings, sharing culture, sharing cultural rituals, and being curious about diversity. So that's what music is also about.
Right. Yeah, we can hear the accent, we can hear the different ideas right away.
Yes, and we are curious. We want to hear new songs, and we want to hear also again and again old songs, but we are up to new things.
Well, thank you so much for coming in today and just sharing this with us. It sounds like your photographs have been exhibited both in Germany and hopefully soon here in the United States, and we're just excited to hear more about your project as it develops. Thanks so much.
Thank you.